And we fucking did it!
I want to see everyone, all the flashlights, come on. Come on, there it is. I'm the big rig. I'm back to back.
What a party. Tampa is in one, and I love it. All for it. There's just something. No one celebrates like hockey guys after winning the Stanley Cup. What is up? It's Cody Jansen with your World Hockey Report Live, coming to you on 12-ounce Sports Zingo TV, channel 761. It's a Thursday edition. Yeah, we decided to get in here, hop in a little bit quick, because Stanley Cup's been given out for 3 days now. Monday it all ended. Tampa beats Dallas 2-0. As you heard, they're already on their victory tour. Boat parade. I mean, I don't even know. They're selling out football stadiums. Like, it's wild. I mean, Florida is in one right now. If I can put it in one word, they're partying. They got, you know, the Rays are hot in the baseball playoffs. The Bolts are Cup champions. The Buccaneers have Tom Brady. That place is buzzing. They just open bars. I mean, it's kind of like the NHL just, they went and asked, like, hey, Dustin Penner, is COVID real? He goes, no, probably not. Okay, well, there you go. Let's have parades. Let's have parties. Move along. That's what it feels like. Oh, boy. Bringing on Adam Ermintrout here from MyBookie.ag. Use promo code 12OZSports when signing up. They're going to match your deposit up to $1,000. Adam Ermintrout from the great province of Saskatchewan. Obviously it's hard to match how Washington and St. Louis partied, but did you not think it was pretty cool that they're ripping around on boats and sea-doos and stuff, celebrating? Like, I thought that was badass.
Yeah, it looked actually pretty sick, and it's better than just doing the old parade where there's 10,000 people and, like, the guys at the back, and you're on, like, a little stage, and yeah, the sea-doos look pretty sweet, actually.
I thought that was pretty cool. And you kind of get a little bit more of an inside look at the team and stuff. Like guys like Kallor and Gore. Like, I mean, the team obviously feels super close because they just accomplished the greatest goal in hockey together. But you really see some of those groups who are super close and why they succeed. And, I mean, we've said it before, Tampa's, you know, they're a pretty easy team to hate when you look at the history of guys like Kucherov kicking them, you know, kicking guys, getting suspended. They just feel like they got a lot of attitude in previous years. They really, I guess they kind of powered through it in a sense. And I think that kind of helped them, and, you know, you can tell that guys like Point, guys like Stamkos are great leaders on the team, and that's why they got it done. They were the best team in the bubble.
Yeah, I mean, outside of maybe Boston, they've been the best team for 2 years now, and it helps when they have the best goalie. You could probably say they have the best defenseman. You could probably say, and they have, you know, a couple superstar forwards in Point and Kucherov, and I mean, say what you want, like if Stamkos come back for that game, whatever, like maybe they need him, maybe not, but Dallas at the end of the day, you know, they're missing 3 top 9 guys and their superstars didn't really show up, but credit to Tampa, and you don't really want to say it, but their goalie was making like $3.5 million, and Hedman's underpaid by $2 million, Points underpaid by $5 million, like state tax, man.
Yeah, and I mean, Alan Walsh, he says he's got some formula where, you know, Canadians can actually save more. I don't know, like, he might have a way, but clearly there's a lot of influence with the whole state tax setup. And just, I mean, look at the contracts of guys like Victor Hedman. Like, it's a sick joke that anyone in the league gets paid more than him, if you think about it. I mean, at first, I wasn't, like, I really think that Hedman has a ton of value, but I think his leadership qualities, I think his attitude wasn't quite matured as quick as people expected or wanted it. And now that you can definitely see he's taken a stride forward, he's kind of convinced himself, hey, I have to be the guy on this team. And that's, you know, his value now is through the roof. So his contract's a sick deal, and I think it's still on for another 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, it is, and obviously, like, what's he make, like $8 million or something like that?
I think it's like something like high sevens.
Yeah, like you could give a guy like that 10 or something, and obviously obviously Tampa's gotten guys to stay, and you look at some of the guys who haven't really worked out in other places, like Shattenkirk and Bogosian, and they're signing like kind of 1 or 2 year like deals just because it's like, hey, you'll go there, you'll win a cup, it's nice there, there's no tax, and that's just how it is. And you look at how Dallas was too with Corey Perry and Sekera, and it's something. It's a tough conversation to have, but Tampa got a bunch of guys to sign there on the cheap, and it worked out.
100% it worked out for them. Going back to Game 6, though, Dallas they just didn't have any mojo. They didn't have any juice left. It felt like they had emptied the tank getting to that point, and Tampa really just played suffocating hockey. When Dallas has nothing left to give and Tampa is clearly the superior team, it just kind of felt over. It really never felt like Dallas had a chance in that game, especially once you go down 2-0. You just kind of knew it was over.
Yeah, as soon as that second goal went in, it was kind of like, all right, game's over. Like it was kind of sad, honestly. It wasn't a very good hockey game at all. And I mean, you look at Dallas, and yeah, they emptied the tank for sure, and they were a pretty opportunistic team, and they didn't really get those opportunities, if you want to say. And as I said, they're missing Hintz, Faxa, and Blake Como for the last couple of games of the series. Like, that's 3 top 9 guys. You can't just miss 3 top 9 guys. Obviously, Tampa was missing Stamkos, but if you take out, like, basically their whole second line, it's a different series too. So
I think them missing Como was huge. Como is he's a leader. He's an assistant captain, I believe. He's a guy who is killing pretty much every penalty where their penalty kill struggled. Like that's a guy who I had that in my notes too. That miss is pretty big. He is someone who they rely upon in greasy situations. Same with a guy like Rupe Hintz. I feel like he brings a lot of size, speed, physicality to the team. And I won't say...
Faxa would have matched up against the point line.
Exactly. And so I'm not going to call a guy like Rupe Hintz exactly Sorelli or Gord, but he does that for Dallas. He brings that physical presence. He hits. He gets in the dirty areas. He comes out of places with pucks where he shouldn't have. And, yeah, I mean, clearly, Dallas was missing that. Adam, I wanted to get your thoughts, though, on some of those secondary guys, though we will get to the whole Conn Smythe thing. But, taking a look at someone like Yanni Gord, where did that come from? Like, even Killorn, Palat, Sorelli, these are guys who, we all just thought, I guess, essentially in not watching them, they were just fine forwards. Now, all of a sudden, like, they look like they could fit on a top line in almost any team in the Western Conference, at least in Canada right now.
Yeah, they can all play, and a guy like Gord, like, you never really heard of him up until maybe last year or this year, and he's flying around the ice. He could play anywhere in the lineup, and all Sorelli's done in his career is score big goals so far, especially in junior.
Kid.
I mean, you get Palat in the 7th round how many years ago, and they just can all play. They're all pretty smart, like 2A guys, and with speed, and that's kind of the way to win now.
I feel like they've always had a skilled, solid team. It just came down to their leadership and their desire to win. And I think after getting embarrassed enough times, taking enough lickings, I mean, that's what someone asked, and we were going to get to this later on in the show. I guess I don't even think we did our guests yet, but at 8 o'clock, Adam Ermintrout here, 8:20, Sammy Joe Small, multiple gold medalist, Olympics. How are you? 0206. 8:40, we're going to talk some way too early cup talk, because taking those lickings is huge. And that's why when people say, oh, Colorado is going to win next year, I don't think so. I think they have to take a few more lashes, as Tampa did, and that's kind of your make it or break it point. Are guys just going to leave when it gets tough? Or, I mean, in Tampa Bay's case, guys stick around. And I get it, friendly deals, no state tax, but I guarantee you, if any of them were free agents in the past couple of years, they probably could have got more money if they wanted to leave. They probably could have, but I feel like they had that core, they had that buy-in, and they said, we're going to do it all together.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we were talking about with, well, I was actually watching that Sidney Crosby interview on Spin and Chicklets yesterday, and he's talking about how guys like, how he took less to start, and then Malkin technically took less, Letang, Chris Kunitz took less, Pascal Dupuis took less, and I mean, eventually, like, if everybody shaves their salary by $1 million or something, let's say 5 guys do it, that's a $5 million player you could get. That's like a Palat or a Gord you could get. And, like, those are important players. And, I mean, Tampa just, you have to lose before you have to win. It took Washington 10 years. It took Tampa, like, a couple of years. Like, it's kind of been 5 years in the making for them.
We're going to get back to the Cup talk. Adam, you brought up an unreal point, though. I needed to touch on this because I've heard a lot of people talking about the Edmonton Oilers and taking a hit. Adam, I want your honest opinion. Did Connor McDavid handcuff this team, or handcuff the Oilers a little bit too much? I mean, 12.5, 13 million. That's a good chunk of the salary, especially when it's not going up. And I mean, compared to, I'm not going to say Draisaitl brings more to the table than him. But Draisaitl is making, what, $4 million less? I want to say, just off the top of my head, around that mark. And obviously McDavid went through injuries, but Draisaitl brought more last season.
No, I'm going to actually say no to that, because there was a thing where when Crosby and Malkin signed their deals, it was the same percentage of the cap when McDavid and Draisaitl signed their deals.
That's fair.
So, since the cap's gone up, obviously, like, McDavid technically could have signed for $1.5 million more, right? Like, I think the max is 14. He could have signed for that if he wanted to.
There's a max?
Yeah, the max is 14, I think.
I had no clue. Why would they do that?
Yeah, I don't know. But then Draisaitl's deal was, like, after playoffs where he's kind of, like, up and down, and it was fair at the time, but I think a team that really got screwed, and I hate to bring it to them, is Toronto. Like, the fact that Mikko Rantanen signs a long-term deal, and it's less than Mitch Marner's deal. That's only 6 years, and Kucherov and Braden Point and Pastrnak and, like, all those guys. And there's one team that hasn't taken less, and it's Toronto, and they're extremely handcuffed.
That's fair. No, that's an interesting point, because I've heard a lot of debate on that, and, you know, I guess when you put it percentage-wise, totally, that makes sense. Already, Conn Smythe talk. Victor Hedman obviously wins it. I disagree. Braden Point was their best player throughout the playoffs. Hedman had a great playoffs, no doubt. Braden Point was the difference maker. He was the most valuable player in these NHL playoffs. He scored clutch goals when he was in the lineup. He was a leader. His team won. And essentially, he did everything asked of him. And, I mean, yeah, he's a game breaker when he's on the ice. He's the most valuable player. Were they 11-0 he was playing or scored or something like that? Like, that's insane. I think it was a no-brainer, and I get it. Hedman had a great playoffs, too. I'm not discrediting that by any means. But I'm just saying Point was better.
Yeah, and I think I saw, like, the voting came out, and, like, they were, like, 1 point, like, the voting points, like, 1 point away, and somebody had Point third and Kucherov second, so it kind of screwed Point there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know, it's tough, like, Victor Hedman wasn't terrible, obviously, he won the Conn Smythe, and it's hard to pick one way or another, really. I thought Point maybe should have won, but I mean, Hedman was playing 30-some minutes a game, just mistake-free, other than the OT winner. But it's, I don't know, maybe Point, but I'm fine with Hedman winning it.
Fair enough. Okay, maybe I'm a little bit more one-sided than you are on that one. I mean, it's really hard to pick apart Anton Hudobin's performance from the last 2 games. He played phenomenal again. Like, if it's not for him, that's a 5-0 game. That's simply put there. They get run out of town. But now we're heading into free agency, and I mean, we will get into a lot more of this talk next week, and, you know, as we come upon actual free agency day. But Adam, are you sold on Hudobin now? Are you thinking that he's a viable number one option with guys like Matt Murray, Braden Holtby, like Craig Anderson? Does he deserve to be in that mix of guys who deserve to be given or not deserve, but could be leaned on as a number one goaltender next year?
No. I think, I saw the Scott Darling comparison where maybe that's a little extreme, but Scott Darling was never really a starter. Then he just signed for 4 years, $16 million, and it really didn't work out at all. And there's a long history of guys getting hot for a couple weeks and then cashing in, like James Reimer in a way that's happened too. There's a couple more, and it just doesn't make he's been in the league for over 10 years. And this is the first time he's ever really taken over it now. I'm sorry, I'm not giving that guy $4 million a year. Somebody might, and because they're desperate for goalies. If you're holding out for a Holtby or Markstrom or Matt Murray or something, and then all of a sudden you don't get any of those guys, you're just going to be like, okay, Hudobin, here you go. Which will be terrible, but...
Now, Henrik Lundqvist, and I know we're running this one a little long here, but Henrik Lundqvist also gets buyout, and I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about him as we break down goalies. I'd say with the best of them as well, and I think that Hank, obviously, you'd love to see him ride off into the sunset with the Rangers. It wasn't going to happen. You could see it in playoffs nowadays. A, his style doesn't work for today's NHL, and B, his style does not work for how bad the Rangers are defensively. Do you think that he gets another chance? Do you think he wants another chance? I mean, I hear a lot of rumblings that he still wants to stick around. If you're in his shoes, man, I don't know. I get it. You want a cup, and maybe you try get on a contender and you take $1 million to back up and, kind of split time. But, I don't see anyone giving him a starting role. No?
No, and, I mean, I said this out yesterday, there's, I think, 2 teams that would make sense, Washington with Samsonov, kind of maybe a 1A, 1B type thing where it's a 50-30 split, or Vancouver with Thatcher Demko, a 50-30 split. Another team, honestly, might be Vegas. If Fleury leaves and you want to spend $1 million on Lundqvist as a backup who's chasing a cup, I think that'd be a good spot for him, but it's honestly up to him. There's people saying his brother's in Sweden and maybe he wants to go back there, but I don't know. He's just so New York. It's hard to see him leave that area.
Exactly. And that's why I said that if he's going somewhere, you got to assume he's going somewhere warm. Do you put any weight on, you say Washington, but I think that teams nowadays are realizing there's a lot more potential if you're going with goalies of the same country. And I know that Pekka Rinne and Jussi Saros haven't been the best example in the world, but I feel like they have that connection where for Washington, they should be looking at bringing in an older Russian for Samsonov. And whether that is Hudobin or not, that could be a viable option where you can play 50% of the games. They can have a good connection. They can have an open conversation, stuff like that. And, who's it in Ottawa? Is it Anders Nielsen? Is that is that their goalie of the future? For the Sens, and I get it, they're the cheapest, worst-run organization. But if you've got a good young Swedish goaltender, and I'm trying to think of who else has a good young Swedish goaltender right now, but it's totally blowing my head. But, you want to bring in Hank. You want that veteran presence where everyone said, oh, he's a great leader for Shesterkin, Georgiev, whatever. That's fine. I still think that if you have a good young Swedish goaltender, you overpay Henrik Lundqvist and you tell him, hey, you're only being a backup here, but I need you to be a coach. I need you to be a leader. I need you to be a mentor. And that's your number one role in this hockey club.
The only thing I'd say about Washington is that they already have enough Russian guys like Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, Orlov, Kovalchuk this year, where they didn't really need a Russian to help out Samsonov because they pretty much are the Russian team of the NHL.
That's fair. By the way, have you seen that Red Penguins documentary? I've heard about it. I want to watch it, but I haven't actually got to see
it.
No, I want to see it, though. I guess it's pretty good. A lot of people were talking about it, so I might have to put that on my list.
Huh?
Any other hockey news that we didn't break down? I know we'll get to like the draft talk and stuff next week. A lot of free agencies. I mean, did you see the picture of Pat Maroon pissing his pants?
Yeah.
That was so funny. Oh my goodness. I love it. I love seeing these guys party. There's nothing like it. And I mean, also, what's that kid on Tampa with the afro?
Oh, Joseph.
Yeah. What a stud. Man rocket there. Like, Adam, if you had hair like that, what's the percentage you're rocking a bucket in warm-ups?
0.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine putting him on a team where you had to wear helmets in warm-ups. That should be a crime. That guy is an absolute stud. Can't wait to see him in the league as well because just watching him in warm-ups, you're like, this guy's got swagger. He's got confidence. Like, I mean, imagine what he's doing in Tampa, the damage he's doing down there. Oh my goodness, it's a joke.
Yeah.
What a guy, what a guy. Adam, as always, thanks again for coming on, and we'll talk to you next week, probably Monday. Get ready, get those draft notes in.
Beauty, sounds good. See you, man.
Adam Ermintrout right there from the great province of Saskatchewan. For our friends over at mybookie.ag and for barrowhockey.com. All right, let's step aside. Sammy Joe Small is next, right here. Cody Janza with the 12-ounce Sports Zingo TV, channel 761.
Verbero did a lot of great things before I arrived as the brand owner. And one of the things they did incredibly well was create this carbon fiber skate. There were some perceived deficiencies from my end aesthetically and maybe even functionally. The comfort roll edge up on top, softening that material, changing the interior liner to make it a better performing and faster drying liner. We worked to make the skate function better as well by changing the carbon fiber to a Japanese grade carbon fiber that actually relieved about 30% of the carbon fiber weight of the skate. So we added an increase in not only the performance of the skate because of making it lighter, but we are actually getting more flex in the skate because of the quality of the carbon fiber that we altered out.
Try on a pair of skates. The proof is in the pudding. I mean, you pick this product up, it's as good, if not better, than any of the top-end product that's out there in the marketplace.
The Mercury skate became incredibly comfortable, and it became more durable, and it also performed better by being able to interact with the foot a lot better through the skating stride. Verbero is living proof of what a skate should cost, a high-end skate with the most advanced materials and construction, right? So if people understand that this is what a skate should cost, eventually they should understand that they shouldn't buy the competitor's skate.
Pull the mask, pinch the nose, gives you a nice fresh air vent, covers the whole chin, or if you're gonna go get a haircut, and wrap it around your neck, like so.
Live, Cody Jansen with you here. It is October. No snow on the ground yet in the Great White North, so I am thankful for that. It's almost Canadian Thanksgiving as well. What a holiday. Everyone loves Thanksgiving. Canadian, American. I'll celebrate it twice. It's that good. I got no problem with that at all. Alrighty, next interview. Well, this is a big one. We've got Sammy Joe Small coming on this show here, World Hockey Report this morning. Before we get to the two-time Olympic gold medalist and author of the book, The Role I Played. Gotta tell you guys about cocoa, vodka, and rum. You already know it was our drink of the Stanley Cup Finals, and it's the best. It was our drink of summer as well. I mean, we would never stand behind something we don't believe in, and I'm telling you, if you try cocoa, vodka, and cocoa rum and don't like it, I'll send you an e-transfer right now, and I'll buy it off you. I don't care. I'll pay for it. It's unbelievable. I've never met anyone who's tried it and hasn't liked it. It's that good. Guys and girls, the stuff was made by two Canadians with a plan. Come up with a healthier summer drink made with quality ingredients. I'm telling you, it's refreshing. It's got real natural coconut water from the Philippines, triple distilled vodka, smooth Puerto Rican white rum with a splash of sparkling water. This is unreal. You don't like those seltzers anyways. Come on. No one does, and no one likes a beer bloat. That's not fun. Cocoa, vodka, and rum available at BSW Liquor in Sherwood Park and Calgary. Great Canadian liquor stores in Alberta, Calgary co-op locations, and even right here in the Fort at Econo Liquor. Don't forget, you can order online at enjoycoco.com. Enjoy the Cocoa life with World Hockey Report. Go pick yourself up a case today. Check them out. That is enjoycoco.com. We already said this was a big one. We knew it was going to be a big one. We knew it was going to be a fun one. And that's why we wanted to have her on. The author of The Role I Played, Sammy Jo Small, hopping on the show here this morning. Sammy, I appreciate you taking the time this morning. How's it been? I know you've been crazy busy. I see, every other show I'm seeing you on TV. You're doing some sort of media appearance. You've been busy.
It has been busy, but it's been fun. I mean, I get to talk hockey, and I get to talk about our team's stories. So I think it's an important part of history that I don't want to be lost, and I get to tell stories, and yeah, it's been busy but fun busy. Well,
you've done so much for the game and women's hockey in general. It's obviously it's well deserved. All the credit, all the recognition you're getting is incredible. I got one thing to pick though is that the book said it was coming out on the 29th. I was in an Indigo or Chapters. I don't want to throw anyone on the bus. I was in a bookstore the other day, and I seen it on the shelves. So
I know, right? I don't know how the publishing world works. Obviously, I'm a new author, and I'm new to this. So September 29th is the book launch day. And I guess I just assumed that's when people could get it. But the reality of the publishing world is whenever the warehouse prints it, that's when the whether you've ordered it online or whether it's a bookstore, that's when they get it and they put it on the shelves. So that could be anywhere. And in fact, on Amazon, some of the pre-order sales, some of my friends were getting them like 2 weeks ago before I even got a book. So I was like, hey, how is this working? But yeah, so that's all new to me. So I guess it's a book launch month, maybe? I don't know. Like, it seems that some bookstores have them. But I have been told that by September 29th, they will all have them. So that's exciting. It's really strange for people to walk in and be able to see my book, and to read about me is kind of a strange phenomenon, but I guess one I'm going to have to get over very soon.
That's hilarious. No, I was just giving you a hard time there. Now
I know, right? It's out there. People are getting it.
Exactly.
Thing, I guess.
Well, hey, yeah. I guess that's good, right? No, I'm looking forward to it. I got myself a copy, so it's definitely on the must-read list. And we've talked to a lot of authors on this show as well. I mean, there's been some great ones, and I feel like the whole process of going through the book, like, doesn't matter. Mike Comito, Kelly Rudy, Cujo, guys like that who have all gone through it. Stu Grimston had a great one as well. How much time and effort goes into it, Sammy? People don't realize that this isn't something you can just sit down in 2 days and just talk, and someone's going to write it for you. Like, this is a month by month process, isn't it?
For sure. So mine took 10 years, which is quite a long time. But the whole process of writing it was something that I wanted to get right. First of all, I wanted to write it myself, so I didn't use anybody else, and I wanted to ensure that the stories were well written, which took some time. When I first wrote it, I kind of wrote it for back of the room sales. I work as a professional speaker, and it was something that I thought after I spoke and gave the message about teamwork, this would be a great takeaway for people to take home with them. But that first manuscript that I wrote, I realized that, well, A, it wasn't really good writing, and B, I felt like I needed to do more with the history of the game. I needed to really preserve it because nobody else had. These are stories and moments in time about a team that was so incredibly successful, but nobody really knows the true characters and the people that made it so successful. So I felt like I needed to do more, soul searching, first off, really get myself into the scenario that we were in at the time, but also ensure that by going through game tape and box scores, that the history was written in the right way as well. And, there isn't much written about this era of women's sport in general, and I didn't want it to be wrong. So I ensured that, I went through that whole process of not only writing it, but fact-checking it and ensuring that it was right. And then I sent it out to my teammates to make sure that they were okay with it all, and ensure that this is how they remembered it too. And while we differed on perhaps some of the timeline things, they all deferred to me and said, well, I guess you kept journals, so you probably know better than we do. But we all remembered different things. We remembered the same overall topic, but different. It evoked different emotions in all of us. So once I got it through to the players, I then wanted to ensure the coaches were okay with it, because the coaches are not really written in the best of light most of the time, because they're usually choosing another goalie over me. And so I had long conversations with them just to ensure that they were okay with the way I depicted them. I didn't want anyone to get the sense that I didn't have the utmost respect for them in the end. And they were great with it. So I had some long conversations with people, and went through the whole process. And through it all, I'd write certain parts of the story where maybe I was cut or I got pulled from a game, and I'd be angry. Like, I'd be angry that day cooking dinner, and my husband would be like, what's the matter? I was like, well, I feel like I just got pulled. And he's like, that was 15 years ago, so you need to get over it. But it did really evoke a lot of those emotions and memories for me, positive and negative. And so I'm glad it's now in other people's hands, because the emotional roller coaster it took me on was quite severe, and I'm glad that now it's in other people's living rooms and areas that they can read it.
Oh, it's incredible, for sure. I can't imagine you got pulled too much, like a 9.52, I think was your worst save percentage playing for Team Canada at the World Championships, so I don't know who's pulling that. I gotta say though, I mean, growing up being a goaltender, late 90s, early 2000s, like Kim St. Pierre was, probably one of the reasons I enjoyed goaltending. Like I always had some sort of fascination with, the Olympics and World Championships back then. Nowadays, like I do enjoy it, but I feel like, when you're a kid playing, you're definitely fascinated over it a lot. So I thought that was, just a really cool connection that, you and her were just the Team Canada goaltending tandem, where it really felt like that was, it was the best in the world at the time, right? There's really.
Funny you say that. You're definitely imprints can happen at any moment in life, but definitely when we're growing up, and for me it was like around the age 9, 10, 11. I can vividly remember sitting in front of a Hockey Night in Canada and drawing the goalies. Like I was just so fascinated by the equipment, and I just loved what they did. I don't know if you did this, but I used to jump up and down on my bed, like making saves and thinking like I was that professional goalie. So it definitely can have an imprint. And I think that's why it's so important for young boys and young girls to see women doing it as well, because that just normalizes it. It makes these women their heroes as well. And it's so great for you to say that, you looked up to somebody like Kim St. Pierre, because that's what I hope that this book does for people, is it makes them realize that, we had some big names on the team and some big stars like Hayley Wickenheiser and Cassie Campbell, but it takes an entire team to create the success that we had for such a long time, and that each one of these women were heroes and stars in their communities as well, and that's what I hope doesn't get lost in history.
Now we're definitely going to get into your gear and everything like that, because that's questions that need to be answered. But I got more about the book, and So when you're putting this, like when you're putting a book together, are you just going, kind of year by year, month by month? Are there bigger stories you're throwing in front? I mean, you're an Olympic medalist. Like, how do you rank these? You've helped co-found the CWHL. You've won an Olympic gold. You've won silver. You've won multiple world championships. Like, how do you rank what goes first? Or you just go on a timeline?
Well, initially when I first started writing it, it was similar to the speech that I give from the stage. So working as a professional speaker, I have an hour keynote. That's essentially my full-time job. So the stories have been crafted within that speech over 20 years of speaking. So, I have figured out what resonates with people, what allows them to evoke emotions of their own, and really relates them to the situation. So, I started with those stories and did a deeper dive into the stories that I tell from the stage. But in that process, more stories emerged. And I would say there's probably another full book worth of stories that I had to cut because they were similar. A lot of the stories that I wrote about playing sports, for instance, learning from a mentor or a great coach could have happened in volleyball and it could have happened in water polo, but really only one of them can make the book. So I do have a lot of other really great stories, I think, that had to be left out. And that was hard because that leaves not only that moment out, but it leaves people out also. And I wanted to showcase as many people as I could that had just a really positive influence on my life. And for the most part, it's chronological. I do jump back into my youth a lot. I think trying to give the reader perhaps some insight into my personality and my background and why I am feeling the way I'm feeling in certain situations. So yeah, I mean, it's how do you decide? You just kind of, you hope for the best, and you hope that what you've chosen will resonate with readers. And I wanted some stories that would make people laugh, some stories that would make people empathize, others that were sad. I wanted sort of a full roller coaster of emotions so that it wasn't just seeming like I was complaining all the time that I wasn't playing, or I didn't want it to seem like, oh, this is Sammy Joe playing in the World Championship final. This is easy, just do your best and strive for excellence and you'll get there too. I didn't want that kind of book. I wanted something that was real and was raw and that people could relate to.
Sammy Joe Small, my guest here on World Hockey Report. We got to talk about, the title, the role I played. That's unreal. That drags you in right then because you're like, oh, like this is this is a very personalized one. The cover's unreal. Like the photo on the front is like that's like every goalie's photo shoot right there. You got the focused eyes. You got the cool goalie helmet. Everyone likes that, right? So I thought that was unreal. How did you come up with that though? Like how much time spent on the actual title? Because I think that's huge. When you think of something like Shattered Ice or Grim Reaper, Playing with Fire, hockey books in general. Like the role I played is a perfect title in my opinion. Like how much time was spent on it?
Oh, thank you. So the name of my, are you still there?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, perfect. My phone was just beeping.
Oh.
The name of my, or not the name, but the mantra that I use during my speech a lot is you don't always get to choose the role you play, but you always get to choose how you play it. And so, I say that a lot during my speech, and I had never thought about this as a book title. When I initially wrote the book, the name of the book was It's Not About the Medal. And that's the name of my keynote speech, and so that was sort of the name of the book. I just sort of translated that into there. And really, that's what the whole point of the book is that it's not about the reward at the end. It's about the journey, and it's about the moments on the way to your goals and your aspirations that matter. And so when I initially had that 10 years ago, when I had that book, and I was starting to formulate that, somebody said to me, Lance Armstrong's book it's not about the bike. You can't really be associated with somebody like Lance Armstrong. And I went and searched out his book, and I had read it prior, and thought, maybe it shouldn't be that close to it. It shouldn't be that close to somebody who perhaps has disgraced himself in sport. And so let's try to think of a new name. And so I had a lot of different working titles. And this was just something that was kind of a holding pattern for me, because it was exactly what I say in my speech. And I said to my editor, I'm not really sold on this, but any other ideas you might have. And we came up with a multitude of other ideas, and for some reason this one stuck. And the editor really wanted to put in more to it, so that's why the tagline below it says Canada's greatest Olympic hockey team. And a lot of that is for search purposes, to allow those key phrases to come out when people are looking for Olympic or hockey books. But that really, I think it just, to me, it synopsizes the entire book, because it was just a holding plate for me, but the reality is that it really tells exactly what the whole book is about. It's about the roles that we all play in various different aspects of our life, and how we play those roles is different depending on where we are in our lives and what we're going through.
Oh, I mean, being a former player myself, I think that just that drags me, and that's why that was one of the things that really stuck out to me.
Oh, that's cool. Thank you.
We love story. I mean, I love reading books for the stories, and I mean, mostly funny stories. We need a funny story from you. I mean, was there something that just to this day still makes you laugh out loud? Like, playing on some of those Olympic teams, like, yeah, I mean, you had a really close team, obviously, I'm sure. So, like, there had to be some funny stories.
Well, there's one story in the book that I can't read out loud because I start to giggle too much. And it's the story of the squirrel. So the squirrel story is that we were training for the 2002 Olympics, and we were stationed on the military base in Valcartier, Quebec. And the coaches would send us off on these bike rides for, our morning training that would be hours and hours long in various groups. And not only is it base training, but it's, you're working together as teams and all that jargon. And we were cycling along, and we came upon the group in front of us. And the group in front of us included Vicky Sonohara, who unfortunately was riding along in sort of peloton style with her group, and a squirrel rode right between her two tires. So we were on these paths that were lined with trees on both sides, and the squirrel just inadvertently went right between her tires, got stuck in the back tire and stuck in the brake pad. And suddenly Kelly Bouchard, who was behind her, had fur coming up on her as she was decapitating the squirrel in her bike, and it ground her to a halt. And Vicky was just distraught. She's an animal lover, and there was blood and guts everywhere. And we came upon them, and the other members of the group, Jana Hefford, Cassie Campbell, they were just in hysterics. And we didn't know if there had been a major accident, like what had happened. Anyways, readers will have to pick up the book to see the conclusion of the story. But it was hilarious, because you're just exhausted. It had been, I don't know how many hours we had already spent on the bike. Vicky was refusing to get back on that bike, and there was just blood and guts everywhere. And it still makes me laugh when I think about it.
I can't even imagine. Like, you're training with your best friends, and all of a sudden something like that happening. But, I can see that coming down. Hey, Sammy, I've taken enough of your time. Thank you so much. Sammy, please let people know, where can they find your book? Where can they connect with you? Because, it's incredible.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me on, first of all, Cody. I really appreciate it. And anytime I get to talk hockey, I love it. If anybody wants to buy the book, they can buy it actually anywhere where they normally buy their books. If they want to go online, it's available, Amazon, McNally, Indigo Chapters. So just go into your local store and hopefully pick up a book on not only hockey, but on what I think are some incredible women that perhaps have been missed in history that need to be honored in this country. So hopefully everybody...
Sammy Joe Small, right there on World Hockey Report. That was cool. That was awesome. Anytime you get to hear from an Olympian, definitely, not just an Olympian. That's almost offensive if you just call her that. She was in 3 Olympics. She won 2 golds and a silver, 5 world championships, helped start the CWHL. She's going to be back on, and we're going to dive more into her hockey career later on. Just wanted to focus around the book. That's awesome. Again, the role I played pretty much out everywhere now. I already saw it in bookstores last week, so definitely go check that out. if you're into reading books, I know, hey, I love reading them. I love getting those inside stories. You're not going to find them anywhere else. The role I played by Sammy Joe Small, arguably one of the best backups Canada's ever had. I mean, if you look at her numbers, as I said, in all of her international events for Team Canada, she had a 9.52 save percentage as her worst. And I get it. There were some stacked teams. They were dominant back then. She shut out the Russians and stuff in 2002. Like, it's still not easy to do. And as we've talked about with NHL goaltenders, if you're not facing shots on a consistent basis, sometimes that's almost harder. I mean, you got to keep yourself mentally engaged, physically engaged. There's a lot that goes into it. Pretty impressive, none to say the less, though. Hey, Sammy Joe Small, once again, thank you to her for hopping on the show this morning. We're way off schedule. I already know that. It doesn't matter. We're going to come back. We're going to talk way too early 2021 predictions. I got some bets for you. You already know that was brought to you by Coco Vodka, Coco Rum, the best in the game. Go check them out today. Enjoy Coco.com. We'll be back after this. Talking Stanley Cup odds. It's World Hockey Report Live. Cody Jansen with you, 12-ounce sports, Zingo TV, channel 761.
Verbero did a lot of great things before I arrived as the brand owner. And one of the things they did incredibly well was create this carbon fiber skate. There were some perceived deficiencies from my end, aesthetically and maybe even functionally. The comfort roll edge up on top, softening that material, changing the interior liner to make it a better performing and faster drying liner. We worked to make the skate function better as well by changing the carbon fiber to a Japanese grade carbon fiber that actually relieved about 30% of the carbon fiber weight of the skate. So we added an increase in not only the performance of the skate because of making it lighter, but we are actually getting more flex in the skate because of the quality of the carbon fiber that we altered out.
Try on a pair of skates. The proof is in the pudding. I mean, you pick this product up, it's as good, if not better, than any of the top end product that's out there in the marketplace.
The Mercury skate became incredibly comfortable and it became more durable, and it also performed better by being able to interact with the foot a lot better through the skating stride. Verbero is living proof of what a skate should cost, a high-end skate with the most advanced materials and construction, right? So if people understand that this is what a skate should cost, eventually they should understand that they shouldn't buy the competitor's skate.
Pull the mask, pinch the nose, gives you a nice fresh air vent, covers the whole chin, or if you're going to go get a haircut, and wrap it around your neck, like so.
Hockey Report, Cody Jansen. Happy October. 3 months until Christmas, and you know what that means. Well, I guess not even 3 months until Christmas. Less than 3 months till World Juniors time. You know the World Hockey Report 12-ounce sports boys pop off for that. That's going to be awesome. In a bubble, too. We're getting World Juniors. Oh, man, I want to go on so many rants right now. But I'm just going to have to contain myself because I got to tell you guys about this. If you want to keep your drinks cold while we still got some summer sunshine out there or hot this winter, It's time to ditch the traditional koozie. 2D Wrap, the universal drink insulator, fits any beverage, hot or cold, made in Canada. 2D Wraps are made with military-grade neoprene for the highest quality product possible. Strong and durable. 2D Wrap keeps your drink cold or hot for hours on end. Check them out today, 2dwrap.com. That's TUDI wrap.com for the best drink accessory in the game. I know James is hooking us up too. We got 12-ounce sports ones on the way. Maybe World Hockey Report ones too as well. I don't even remember. I mean, I'm pumped though. I'm going to use them for sure. These are awesome. You know those like cheap little like 2-cent sleeves they give you at Tim Hortons? I don't know if I can mention Tim Hortons. And at any coffee shop, right? It's like a little cardboard thing. They're like, oh, this is going to save your hand. It doesn't do anything. I'm telling you, 2D Wrap, it's unreal because it makes your drink bearable to hold when it's scalding hot. Nice comfy to hold too. It's a nice little spongy-ish to it. But it also keeps your drink warm for long. You know, it's kind of like if you don't drink it while it's burning hot, it's going to get cold right away. This is an absolute game changer. And I'm telling you, 2dwrap.com. We wouldn't endorse anything less than the best. Alrighty. Quick shout out. I saw this on Twitter yesterday. I thought I had to mention this one. Tanner Marshall. Junior hockey goalie, I assume he's playing in Humboldt this year. I mean, what a helmet, though. It was painted, I want to get the name right, Jonathan Curley, I believe. It's a great Humboldt Broncos tribute. I mean, hey, for myself, Adam, a lot of guys that knew people that were in that tragic incident, you know, it's still shitty to think about today. It's brutal. But to see young goaltenders still honoring the team, honoring those who lost their lives, you know, it's something special. It really is. So I just want to give kudos to Tanner Marshall. You can check out that helmet. He's on Twitter at T_Marsh31. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's an amazing helmet. Incredible job by, I believe it's Jonathan Curley who painted that. So just wanted to give a shout out, show some love to him, because that was definitely cool. That's a cool thing that, you know, players who maybe didn't even know anyone who was on the team 3 years ago when it happened. You know, it's, yeah, no, that's definitely pretty cool. I brought up World Juniors too, and we are going to get into some of that way too early hockey talk because I got some 2021 Stanley Cup odds for you. Obviously, it's no surprise Tampa's going to open up as favorites again at plus 750. I'm telling you right now, stay away from it. Back-to-backs don't work unless you have a team like Pittsburgh. You know, maybe. Who was it? Who was the last one before that? Wings? Maybe late Wings? I don't think the Devils did. Maybe I'm wrong there. It's tough. It's tough to go back-to-back. So, Tampa at plus 750? No, I don't like it. I don't like that at all. Vegas and Colorado are also plus 750. The Bruins are at plus 1,200. Probably stay away from that. Couple of teams I don't mind. I don't mind the Flyers at plus 1,800. I think they got a few things to go. The Isles at plus 2,500 right there. That's the money spot. Plus 2,500. That means if you put down $100, you're going to win 2,500. Put down $1,000, 25 large. That's not a bad payout. This is a wild card, and I really don't know if I like it, but I just love the number, is the Oilers at plus 2,200. Because, you know, anytime Connor McDavid, Draisaitl can get so hot that they can't be stopped. I know they were terrible against the Blackhawks. Not exactly those two in particular, just the team in general. But, you know, like when the Oilers get on that run, if they can get great goaltending just for like a month or two, there's always that chance that they find a way. There's just something about that team where, as much as you want to count them out, they always seem to be somewhat in with it. So right there, those are my two favorite odds. I do like, for long shots, you got the Oilers and Isles. Both of those over plus 2,000. Any gamblers looking at that, licking their chops. Also, shout out Aaron Vegas Squares. Nice little payday there on the Bolts. Absolutely hammered it. Gotta love seeing it. I got one more complaint to get out of the way. Actually, no, I got two. I lied. Happy Thursday, folks. You gotta listen to this now. Spangler Cup got canceled. That sucks. Here's what I don't understand. Spangler Cup, It's in Davos, Switzerland. You get teams from all over Europe. You usually get a Russian team and a Canadian team. Usually most of those Canadian players are playing in Europe currently where travel's allowed and stuff like that. Fans in Switzerland are allowed back at games, I do believe. So what's the issue here? They say it's the government that doesn't want it, and, they're going to blame it on travel and stuff like that. It's got to be a financial reason? No. Because the travel is happening anyways in the Champions Hockey League. You've got Swiss teams in the Champions Hockey League, and they travel all over Europe to play these games. They're going to any country, doesn't matter. Like, if it's getting bad in Czech Republic, they're still going to go play there. They're going to go play there in front of fans. They're going to go play there in front of packed barns. So why are they allowed to? And Davos is in the damn thing. Davos is in the Champions Hockey League. And it's in November. It's earlier than the Spangler Cup. I don't understand. It doesn't make sense. Do they not want the tourists there? Is that what they're worried about? Because they can't... Doesn't make sense. It's over my head. It's disappointing. It sucks. I love the Spangler Cup. I just hate to see it gone. Oh well, we'll survive. We'll move on. I wonder if they'd be able to move it. I kind of doubt it if they because if they move it any later, then you're dealing with free agents, things like that. It sucks. Whatever. We'll move on. I got one more complaint, and that is if you are on Twitter complaining about how Tampa Bay is celebrating their Stanley Cup, shut your mouth. If your team, if the Edmonton Oilers, if the Toronto Maple Leafs, if the Detroit Red Wings, whoever won the cup, it would be the exact same damn thing. And you're kidding yourself if you think it wouldn't be. Don't lie. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to yourself. Everyone, don't they know COVID's going on? Well, no kidding, they do. And these people have made the choice themselves. No one's forced to be out there. And I get it. Like it or not, you're probably... you're going to see a spike in Florida anyways. They're idiots down there to begin with. They've never really taken it seriously. So it's really no surprise that this is happening. But also, just let them celebrate how they want. Let them celebrate how they want. Simple as that. You don't need to be a social justice warrior on Twitter. It's that simple. Let them be. Let them enjoy the cup. They earned it. Congrats, Tampa. Stanley Cup champions. Or out. Cody Jansen, 12 Ounce Sports, Zingo TV. Thank you very much to everyone who tuned in. Thanks to Adam Ermentrout, as always. Sammy Joe Small. That's a great interview. Great one. We're going to get her back on for sure. Alrighty, this has been another edition of World Hockey Report. Alright, everyone. Be kind. Be better. Until Monday. See you then.